we were saying, Harry, you've just made history before by becoming the first person to not figure out how to work out to zoom in.
To what? In?
You couldn't figure out how to zoom in properly.
Oh, it was called Riverside as a technical.
Riverside.
Yeah. No, apparently
But
it's
yeah,
the first case of someone not being able to get on their laptop.
Yeah,
do you reckon if anyone was going to happen to, it would have been me?
correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we said. Yeah.
We had the great Marshy outside telling us,
Well, that's-
"Is Harry tech savvy?" And we're like, "Oh,
No.
Ben,
You know, if Marshy can't figure it out, it must be, yeah,
something bad."
Must
something
be a
bad.
serious issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Just
who
be
knows?
better. That's
Anyway,
all. Just be better.
we're here. We're still making it work. So
Well, that's all right.
Let's read.
technically on holiday, but anyway, that's all right. I'll still
Good on
play.
you.
How are we anyway? Are we rolling? Or?
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Oh, I thought we've been rolling the whole time.
Oh, we've been
We've
rolling.
been rolling the whole time.
Oh, we have been rolling. Okay, so if you're just joining us or you've just started the podcast,
Or you've fallen asleep.
it's a bit of a weird episode of the Ben and Harry podcast because Harry is enjoying a well-earned rest. He's up in Noosa and he joins us via Zoom. Hello, Harry.
I've actually been rolling the last 3 minutes as well.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
History maker.
History maker.
We love
Yeah.
history on this show, don't we? And
Yeah.
yeah.
And Harry has a dinner booking in about half an hour, so it's also going to be short. But that's probably for the best, given that you can hear the crickets chirping.
Shows where his priorities are, though.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
He still made it.
Well, I still made a good effort to make
Yeah.
it. So
Good effort.
Anyway.
Any other Blues up
Yeah.
at Noosa with you?
Yeah, have you bumped into anyone yet? It's normally a hot
it's
spot.
basically our first day, so no, we haven't seen anyone yet. But there's a couple of boys around, so might see them later in the week. Yeah, just see how we go. No real plans. Just enjoy the sun and yeah, relax
Nice.
a bit.
What-
So looking
Weather
forward to it.
update? Is it mid-20s, high 20s? What's the weather?
Yeah, mid 20s. Do you want humidity and
Yeah,
Oh,
cold
What
front
else
moving
is
through.
there? sunrise, sunset?
Dew point, please.
The dew point.
There's no dew up here, mate. No, it's been lovely, 25 and sunny today. So it has been quite wet the last few weeks, they said. So a nice change in weather, which is good.
Nice. It's a very strange kind of setup we got here. So we're on either side of the same side of the desk. Ben and I, as we're
Yep.
looking at this screen, and Harry. It feels like we're interviewing him. It's like a
Yeah,
panel.
yeah, it is.
But-
My neck's getting sore from looking at it.
We'll start with Essendon. So, Harry, we've been catching up off air before you joined the call, and it's been released in the last kind of 24 hours that Ben here is going to be missing a week with a foot injury. And so can we confirm it's the same bruise as the previous bruise? Can we say which?
Yeah, same bruise.
Continuous bruise.
This bruise just keeps rearing its head.
Yeah, I know. It's still
Bruise gate. It's back.
It's Bruisegate.
But the disaster for the Bombers is this injury list now. Anyone
Yeah.
over about 190 centimetres is out.
I know. It's a bit of a curse at the moment. But yeah, not ideal, mate. I noticed my foot a little bit in the Richmond game on Dreamtime. And then got a scan. Well, we're recording this on the Monday, so I got a scan this morning. So yeah, won't be able to play this week, which is disappointing. You know, I always love to travel, and you know, any interstate game, especially against the reigning premiers, would have been awesome to play in. But you know, that's footy, I suppose. But won't know more in terms of timeline or my options until sort of early next week. You know, certainly wouldn't rule out the next game against Carlton, but which is, I suppose, optimistic. But we'll see how we go in terms of the next few days when the timeline becomes a bit more clearer. But yeah, not ideal, mate. But I suppose, you know, I'm glad we still got a win and contributed somewhat. But yeah, it was a bit sore throughout that one, and then sort of went from there. Start the generic process of sort of checking with the physios and getting to the bottom of it. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Hopefully, we'll be right for next week.
I've got this list in front of me that I wasn't aware of. So it's 10 players taller than 190 centimetres who are unavailable. So yourself, Sam Draper, we know, Nick Bryan, Jordan Ridley, Harrison Jones, Cole Langford, Zach Reed, Lewis Hayes, Thomas Edwards, and Nick Cox. And they are all names that, I mean, maybe not all 10, but they're basically best 22 guys. It's just a disaster.
Well, I think Scotty's been on record to say in his, call it 10, 12, 13 years of coaching, he hasn't experienced an injury list like this in terms of, I suppose, key position injury. So, but he, to his credit and the club's credit, they've been so good in terms of changing the narrative of, well, it gives an opportunity to a younger guy. So obviously it's not ideal, but it does create a bit of opportunity. We saw Angus Clark on the weekend, who we can touch on a bit later, but he was awesome, gave us a real energy lift. And I think this will be announced by the time we announce this, but Zach Johnson as well will debut for the club on Thursday night, who actually he has his birthday on Christmas Eve as well. So fun fact. Yeah.
Like you, Harry.
Yeah, like you, Harry. Yep.
Yeah, me and Zach are the same. Yeah.
And fun fact, he will also debut up in the Gabba like I did. So
that's cool.
Cool little coincidence. But yeah, it does give young guys opportunity. So I suppose that's one.
I actually debuted in the Gabba as well.
You did?
Oh, there you go.
That's a cool little
And you're all
coincidence.
born Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You mentioned Angus Clark. That was so cool.
Yeah.
3 goals on debut.
3 goals.
Yeah, and
should have been 4.
And every time it cut to his family, who were just like dumbfounded by it. They couldn't believe what was happening. It was so cool.
So Angus is one of the most down to earth, ripping kids I've ever met. Remember from day one, he was so energetic, respectful. He's just a country kid, and beaming with energy. As I said, very respectful. Say good day to everyone, type guy. And I asked him before the game on Friday. I'm like, "How you going, mate? Are you nervous, whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, like bloody oath I am." And normally, like, young kids sort of say, "Oh no, I'm fine. I can't wait." But he's just his honesty, and he doesn't change who he is. And I think that's a really important thing. And he plays like that as well. Like, he leaves nothing to chance and wears his heart on his sleeve and doesn't feel the need to not be honest and say what he feels, because that's all he's done his whole life. So he gives the locker room a lot of energy, and I'm sure Harry's the same. You love playing with those guys who care and contribute so much on and off the field. So we're lucky to have Angus, and his family was great as well post game. And I think I love hearing those stories that, they're just, country people at heart, and really grateful to be, playing at the MCG. So we've certainly found one in Angus for sure.
That's awesome. And then a good win, as we were also saying off air, that despite this injury list and this run of bad luck, you keep chalking wins. And I mean, we were saying before, Richmond may be bottom 3, but they are a team that has a crack. They're one of the better bottom 3 teams you'll see.
Yeah, they've had some good wins this year, Richmond, as well. So I know we say it every week, but the ladder doesn't reflect how a team performs on any given day. And Richmond are a classic example of that. They're as dangerous as anyone on their day. So, we walk away, really happy with playing, somewhat of a full game. I think the first half was a bit of an arm wrestle, and that is sort of what we expected. Dream time, bit slippery, like it was a pretty contested game, but to be able to sort of take over in that second half of the third quarter probably and then see it through was really pleasing. So you're right, like we're playing some okay footy at the moment and chalking wins, not anywhere near our best, but something to build on, and a really important month coming up before the bye. So hopefully we can continue chipping away at it and improving as well.
Yeah. So then you play Brisbane at the Gabba. Hear me out. You're not far from there, Harry. And if we manage to keep Ben's injury news quiet,
that's a great point.
Could you quickly duck down the road and face the reigning premiers? And maybe you'd have to play in defence. Would you be comfortable playing?
It's doable.
Yeah.
If we hadn't have said anything, that would be the best prank of all time.
I think it would like.
I think it extends beyond.
It'd probably transcend a prank.
I think it breaches a
Breaking
lot of
laws,
rules. God, it'd be.
It would be.
I wonder if the clubs were in
It would do
cahoots.
some numbers on social.
But then, obviously, so the bye for you, Harry, disappointing loss in the end to the Giants. I mean, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, as I said, obviously, disappointing loss. We haven't, obviously, we have a few days off now, so we haven't necessarily gotten together and reviewed it yet. But yeah, initially, disappointing in terms of, again, we're right in it for majority of the night, and just moments late just killed us. So yeah, really disappointing, but got a good chance now to reset. We'll go through a bit of vision, I guess, over the weekend and review not only the Giants game, but maybe a bit more of the first half of the season, and reset for a really big second half of the year. Definitely not ideal, but we're probably in a similar spot. Not quite as bad, but in 2023 where we turned it around the second half and banked some good wins, and we know we're playing some consistent footy just without putting it all together. So definitely frustrating. Everyone's feeling that, but good little reset here and bigger and better in the second half. So That's probably the initial thoughts, mate. Yeah.
It was the bye in 2023, wasn't it, where you went down to the Kerno farm and everything turned
The
around?
Freo win, wasn't it? That really
Oh, there was the
the
famous
Freo
Freo win. Yeah, no. Yeah, whoops, that was my bad.
The catalyst. Come on, mate. How could you figure
That
that?
was
Nah, it was actually a few weeks before the bye, Dad. I think that seems to grow legs every time, that story. But it was about 3 weeks before the bye, and
All right.
anyway.
But do you look
yeah,
at
similar,
as
similar timing.
do clubs see the bye as some sort of like flag, some sort of like line in the sand? Like if we get to the bye and then I don't know, what realistically,
Mentality sort of thing,
what
yeah.
resets? Like is it literally just a freshen up, or are there kind of
Well, I think most teams have been going for 13, 14, 15 weeks without a break, essentially. So, I mean, physically, it's nice to, as Harry mentioned, have a few days off and, you can go away for a couple of nights and enjoy some warm weather. I think the coaches probably have some reflection work to do in terms of where we're sitting and, some RFIs, 2 or 3 things we're doing well and how we can rectify a few things in the second half. I mean, for us, we've only got 8 games when we return from our bye, so it's a little bit different. But
yeah.
I think physically is number one, but also mentally, it's just nice to have a bit of clean air to sort of work on a few things without the need to rush things in terms of a 5 or 6 or 7 day break. You got a bit of time to sort of work through things, which you don't normally get throughout the year. So,
and being able to mentally switch off, Harry, is it nice to just not think about footy? Is that a thing?
I think to a degree. I reckon you're always, even though you have a couple of days away from the club and no real requirement to do footy stuff, you're still probably thinking a little bit of footy and a little bit of work stuff, but that's pretty normal. I think the off season is probably the one where you completely switch off for a week or two, but I think it's more don't have to follow a schedule for a couple of days. You can have a bit of your own time with your family and your friends, and no real requirement to be at the club or anything like that. So that's always a nice little freshen up. And I think Ben articulated that quite well around you have a couple of weeks to go after a couple of things as a team and double down on what you want to be or what you want to focus on. And you can have a few good sessions or a few good meetings around that without the game day of that week, if that makes sense. So I think it's just somewhat signifies halfway mark of the year, and it's a good little just a little reset, like a stamp in the road to be like, all right, that's what we did well in the first half of the year. This is what the growth is, and then you kind of re-energize for the second half.
Yeah. Rach, Carlton supporter, who was in touch last week, and I think it was about Inside 50s. And those entries.
From the lab.
She's been in the lab. I've got here, she's been in the lab with Kingy again. So Rach has drilled down into the performance, and she has a question about skills. So go for it, Rach.
Hi, Harry and Ben. It's Rachel from Carlton North again. Thanks last week for talking through connection inside 50, but I've got another question off the back of Saturday's game. In the past few weeks, there's been a lot of talk in the media around Carlton being one of the worst teams for ball use by foot. And being at Saturday's game, I saw a lot of kicks not weighted correctly, either going way past or falling way short of the player on the lead. Would love some insights from both you and Ben on how much in-season practice is on basic fundamentals like ball use and goal kicking versus what I see at open training, it's mainly around systems and patterns. Anyway, hope the boys have Camp Kerno booked this weekend and go Blues.
Rach and I are on the same page.
You've been talking to me.
Yeah.
That's a really good
very
question.
detailed question, Rach.
So
Yeah,
how often?
It's a very fantastic question again.
How often are you just training basic skills?
Yeah, a heap. I think it's more so in season than pre-season. Like in season, because you have the reality of fatigue and soreness from games, and within a 5, 6, 7 day, you have to physically back it up. So what you can do at more of a lower level is high skill level drills that doesn't necessarily take a lot out of you physically in terms of like your sprint distance or your high speed running. So a lot of the work you do in season is probably be 80, 90% skill work and 20% system a lot of the drills are a little bit of both, where it's like, okay, we might be practicing our inside 50 connection, but there's a big skill component to that drill as well. So it might be 3 connections to a handball, to a connect inside 50 or whatever it is. So there's always elements of both. But yeah, I think I'm sure every club would be the same, Ben, around you put a high price on your fundamentals and your skill work, and a lot of players, not only for the prescribed amount we do as a whole group, but a lot of players you do work pre and post training, days off, depending on how your body's feeling. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and sometimes just the execution on game day is a bit off for whatever reason. As we said last week, there's so many things, like the broadcast shows the kick missing, like going long or short or missing a target, but it might be something to do with the player ahead of the ball and their pattern or their timing or their hold release execution, or the defense, or someone pressing from them 20 meters. Like, there's so many things. So yeah, there's definitely a high price on skills, and you can never do enough of them, but it's definitely probably the primary focus, I'd say, in season, Ben. But yeah, definitely still something, speaking on the Carlton terms, that we want to chase and get better at, and execute better on game day, definitely, because I think you can talk as much system and as much game plan stuff, but yeah, your ability to execute fundamentals is still really important.
Yeah, especially on a 5-day break or a 6-day break, where, to Harry's point, the physical output at training is going to be pretty minimal. So, for example, at Essendon, we've got like rebounders where you can just get, a couple 100 touches, before training or whatever. So, the individual is very good at identifying some little windows throughout the day to get, some more touches of the ball, because essentially that is, the most basic of things you can do just to touch the ball as much as you can on especially a 5 or 6 day break, where physically it's about recovery, but it doesn't mean you can't get your hands on the ball and just get the feel for it again. And players are very good at driving their own careers and what they need. So although training might not be necessarily too demanding, mentally you want to be sharp in those drills, and essentially sharp when you're doing your little touch drills as well, because that can be the difference between executing on game day or not. So yeah, it sort of depends on the break of your week, but it doesn't really give you an excuse not to touch the balls and get your hands and stuff going as well.
And then Shane from Belgrave had another question.
Hey, Ben and Harry. Hope you guys are doing well. This is Shane from Belgrave. I was just wondering how you guys are able to control your anger or your emotions when a bad call is made against you, or a tough call is made against you by the umpires. Go the Blues.
It's a good question.
I love that one. You two are pretty composed from what I've seen.
I mean, we're human, right? Like, there's going to be your initial frustration of a call, like any fan or player. But I know at Essendon we do a lot of work in terms of our, I suppose you call it, emotional regulation. Yeah, you're human. You're going to be a little bit annoyed, but just how you can move on to the next moment. I mean, I don't think there's ever been, maybe we had one where they changed the decision. Oh, that might be the first time ever.
Against North.
Against North. That might be the first one ever. But obviously they don't change the decision. So how you can just, accept that that's happened and then move on to the next thing, because, they might get it wrong, or we might just be a bit egotistic and, think it's not our fault. But
and how do you train that? What were you?
Oh, I think, in terms of mindfulness and just attention control, that sort of stuff that every player would be doing, in terms of how you can accept what's happened and just move on to the next, which sometimes is easier said than done when in a big game, big decision, it stings. We're human, but I think that's something we're really big on, and just in terms of not letting that drag on to the next play and costing down the chain sort of thing.
Yeah. Harry?
Yeah, I think Ben summed up really well. I think obviously you can be frustrated at lots of different things, like yourself or the call or decision or whatever it is, but it doesn't add any value taking that emotion out on an umpire or or another player or your teammate. So I think, as Ben said, just moving on to what's next. We talk about a lot as well, like your ability just to come back to the moment, click and move on, and whatever's happened is in the past, but you've got an opportunity to keep on showing up next moment. So if you're too caught up in a call or a decision or a mistake or whatever, you're actually not adding, you're actually killing the team if you're still caught up on that. So, and that's just, you just practice it and get better over time. But yeah, it's can always be a challenge. But as Ben said, probably half the time you think the decision's wrong, you watch back and tape, and you're like, oh yeah, that was yeah, that was fair.
It's there.
So,
It's yeah. I imagine that would happen all the time because, like, as a fan, you're like, there is no way. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
I reckon the best one is as a forward when you think you're on for like a lead or a kick, you're like, mate, I'm on, just hit that, and then you watch back on vision, you had like two blokes right on you. It was like a 10 meter. It was like an impossible kick. You're like, yeah, probably fair enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's the other thing with umpiring, how they only get one angle. And so,
True.
like, when you're at the game, sometimes you're like, that was so clearly pushed in the back. How did you not see that? But then the umpire's on the other side. Like, it's... So
Yeah.
they're going to make mistakes,
Yeah,
I think is the...
The industry has done, a pretty good job in terms of understanding that, yes, they're human as well. They make mistakes like we all do. So it's part of the game, and that's why the game's so intriguing, because we don't know what's going to happen, and that's part of sport. So I think we've done, better as an industry of accepting that and moving on quicker.
Nice. Twinners.
Ben and Harry's
I'm so excited for this.
winners
Birds often think I'm a treat.
and losers.
Mandarins. I just love them. Mandarins at the moment. I'll go first.
Nice.
Ben
Ben beat the lag. Jump in.
That's not
That's
hard.
professional. No,
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's good.
Seeing the window and taking it. My twinner is, you guys may have seen it as well, but the Brisbane Broncos did a blackout jersey for
yeah.
mental health. I thought that was a very classy thing to do, and I think the whole sporting community got on board and really, appreciated the gesture of it. So I think shout out to Brisbane and what they've done in terms of that and how important mental health is in creating awareness. So when I saw it, I thought that was fantastic initiative by them. So yeah, well done. That was awesome.
Harry?
Yeah, nice one. That's great. Agreed. Mine was just a little one, a personal one. We obviously flew up yesterday to Queensland, and our flight was like 20 minutes early. So it landed 15, 20 minutes before, which is, I don't reckon I've ever been on a flight before that's run early like that. So
Caught a tailwind.
it's usually late. Usually you kind of run in 20 minutes late. So that was a nice little change up. So
Shout out to Virgin.
shout out to Virgin. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
Yeah,
good.
nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Have you got a twinner?
I haven't really got a loser. Ben, I don't know if you.
Well, I had a little one. It's sport related. Did you guys watch the basketball? Have you been watching the Halliburton's shot to?
Oh my god.
Like, it was a great shot, but it
Amazing.
just sucks that it was like his foot was on the line. That would have been like, they reckon it would have
Yeah.
been the best shot in history almost. So it's pretty stiff. It's a good loser, but yeah, it was an amazing game.
How much? So that was game one, wasn't it?
Game one, yeah.
Nick's
Yeah.
paces,
Incredible game.
and it's hit the rim and gone up about 3 meters.
Yep.
And this was like
Yep.
a buzzer beater.
And the backstory is he hit the exact same shot to win the game a few weeks before that. So he had history of that exact play. And everyone sort of knew that as well. And they could sense it, the crowd. It was awesome. But we were watching it at the club before we left for captain's run. It was literally a really cool little 10 minutes of,
Yeah.
because New York were
Yeah,
well
it
and
was,
truly ahead. And then they came back. And But it was,
ridiculous.
you feel bad for him because it was the best shot of his career, but it was just, his foot was on the line.
Well, they still won, so it doesn't matter. It's still a good shot, I reckon.
Yeah, but he even said straight after, like, oh, if only sort of thing. But
Because he did the whole choking
yeah, exactly. It was-
celebration.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
really went all in.
Yeah,
It
and
was
that's what I'm saying. Like,
bold.
it sucks for him that his foot was on the line. But
Yeah. They lost today, the
They
Pacers, so 2-1.
yeah,
It's a good little series.
Have you got-
My loser, we're going to save it. It'll be a good tease for next week. So there's controversy in the Twinners and Losers segment.
Okay.
Wait, revolving who? Can we just give a little?
One of you.
that's groundbreaking. Well, Harry hasn't got the rundown sheet, so we've got it here, but
And he doesn't have a loser for this week. So
it just sums him up. He made history.
Because we're on a
today
tight
and just-
schedule here, so instead of bringing negativity into the world, I thought we'd just
Yeah.
leave it in positive. But
what about your sunburn?
is it still burnt?
Why don't we send him up some aloe vera?
Oh, question time
question.
because you've got
gotta go,
a
mate.
dinner booking, don't you?
Yeah, 5 minute. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. All right, here we go.
5-minute warning.
We'll
Bang.
start with Amanda.
Hi, it's Amanda from Craigieburn. Just a question for both boys. Besides kicking a goal, how do you know when you need to come off the ground for a rotation? Is it something that's predetermined by the club and the coach, or is it your choice? Thanks, boys. Go Bombers.
I thought this said.
Great question.
Great,
How do
great
you-
question,
how do you-
Amanda.
I thought this said, how do you know when to head to the beach? But it says bench. And I was like,
So weather is always a good shot.
I'll field this one, Amanda.
This is a great question.
Yeah, the bench. It is interesting.
It is on a rotation basis in terms of time. So let's
Yeah,
say
everyone
we've
knows
got
when
a-
it's to come off.
So Harry might be 5-minute mark. I might be 10-minute. Rollo might be 15-minute mark of the quarter. Obviously, it's not perfect because the game can be caught on the far side or something.
Yeah,
But I'm
it's-
assuming most teams are time based.
It's predetermined.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep, and then also if you the runner will come out just to remind you, like, Ben, you're off in 2 minutes or whatever it is. So you know when you're coming off, but then the runner does give a reminder, or a teammate might be like, hey, you're off next, remember, whatever it is. So
And that's why you
Yep.
get players coming off when a goal's kicked, for instance,
Correct. It's
because
just a
it's like,
coincidence,
yeah.
Yeah. Good question.
That's a really good question.
Thanks,
And then
Amanda.
injuries would throw that out as well. I mean, we don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it all, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that predetermined.
Sometimes as well, like, let's say you're tagging me, Rollo, and I come to the bench, you may be told just go with Ben, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So there's
okay.
a little bit of tactics around it
It's
as well.
fluid.
Yeah.
Cooper.
Hey lads, Cooper from Burwood here. Question for the potty. What is your favourite slow cooked meal?
Bang.
Cheers boys, go Blues.
Good one.
Not bad.
we had so last night we were at staying with some family up here, and we had slow cooked lamb shanks, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good shout.
So that's probably my number one front of mind, but I'll take that.
Yeah. I'd probably agree. Anything lamb related, I think, goes down pretty well. Yeah.
Lamb based. Yeah. Muscle and curry is a good
Oh,
one.
that's
if
a good
you-
shout, yeah.
if you get a beef.
Yeah.
Anything slow cooked, you can't really.
Yeah. They're idiot proof, aren't they?
The idiot proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Riverside.
That's why I said it. That's why I said it. Sorry. That was the alley-oop.
Alley-oop. Oh. Absolutely.
You two are really
humbled.
enjoying yourself there, aren't you?
We are.
You better get down to Hastings Street. We'll leave you to it, H.
Yeah, you better go.
Enjoy the rest of your bye week. And we'll be back on
Thanks,
Monday.
will.
We'll see how the Bombers go this week. Obviously, no Carlton.
Ice that bruise up, Beno. Just make sure you rest, ice, compression, elevation for bruises.
Make sure you get some aloe vera on that face. We've lost him.
delay.
I'm going. I've got to.
I can't even tell if he's going
We're
to
done.
respond.
We're out of
We're
here.
done. I'm surprised we got that.
All right, see you guys. Have a good week.
Well done.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Enjoy.